This video is going to be a film study look at the impact that Jahmyr Gibbs had in some extended action in the Lions' Week 7 loss to the Ravens. First of all, it's impossible, or at least very difficult, to find many positives, I'm sure, as a Lions fan after a loss like Sunday. None of us, myself included, thought that the score differential could ever wind up being as wide as it did in either direction, for real. So I won't try to sell you that there's a whole lot of them. Maybe one thing maybe is perhaps it's the impetus to look at the opposite outside linebacker DN situation, maybe acquire some more athleticism, pass rush ability if James Houston IV is not going to be able to come back and help out opposite Aiden Hutchinson. But in any case, one clear encouraging sign, if you ask me, was Jahmyr Gibbs' return to full usage. Well, I guess I should say more touches than he'd received pretty much all year. With David Montgomery out, Gibbs was able to get 20 touches. I think he had 10 targets in the pass game, a lot of them to the boundary. Particularly the 6th possession and the 8th possession, which I'll chronicle some of those plays here. 20 touches, 128 total yards, including his first career touchdown, which was the 21-yarder, a minute into the fourth quarter. Gibbs did have, I think, 80 yards against the Falcons, 80 yards rushing against the Falcons in Week 3, but 20 touches is a significant upgrade. I think there's a positive sign there from the standpoint that, A, he returned back healthy. B, he was very reliable and explosive, I thought. Made a couple guys miss. Lions would love to have Gibbs and Montgomery back together. Next Monday night's game against the Raiders is extremely important now after coming in 5-1 and falling to 5-2. You certainly don't want to lose 2 in a row. Let's get to some of the film of Gibbs. One thing, we'll start with a touchdown, then I want to start with the opening play of the game, which is kind of confusing to me from a Lions standpoint. But this is his touchdown, end zone angle, just a pin pull, a toss, very similar to the touchdown that Gus Edwards had conceptually, 2-yard touchdown run earlier in the game. When I say pin, pull, toss, what I mean is they're pulling the left tackle out. St. Brown is going to pin down on the defensive end or outside linebacker, which in this case is Clowney. Someone off screen to our left is going to pin down on Arthur Millette, who you can see, I think, on the left-hand side of the screen there. Basically giving him the edge. It's a toss play because Goff reverse pivots. So Goff opened this way to toss the ball in the opposite direction, hence the name reverse pivot. That's why I call it a toss. But in any case, the Ravens are not in a great look to stop this field side run. Gibbs had been attacking to the boundary a lot, and in this case, I think the Lions did a nice job of mixing it up, tossing it to the field. The Ravens are also caught in a stunt on the backside. Queen is kind of blitzing off the edge, and it doesn't look like you got tremendous effort on the backside from these guys. I know the score's 35-0 at this point. Some people say it's inconsequential. It's not for Jahmyr Gibbs, and it's not for the development of the Lions team wanting to get him more involved and see what he's capable of. I think he showed a lot. This is an interesting play. This is the first play of the game, and Malcolm Rodriguez is on the field. I'm not saying that he can't do what they're asking him to do. It's a power play. He's not blocking it poorly, in my opinion. But it's just interesting to me that a inside linebacker is on the field on the first play of the game. Unless I have my players mixed up. And there's another Rodriguez that I'm unaware of. But in any case, this is a power play, kick-out block, pulling guard supposed to wrap up, and it looks good. The Ravens' ability to come downhill and stuff like here with Roquan Smith kind of stacked this up twice. Both times that we saw it ends up only being a 4-yard gain on the first play of the game for Gibbs. Interestingly, the first play of the third quarter, same exact alignment, same personnel group, same play. And Arthur Millette gets involved for a tackle. I think it's a 3-yard gain for Gibbs. So to this point, there's not very much involvement in terms of positive yards. And it's interesting to me, again, that they're going to this, what I would call somewhat unusual look. The first play of the first quarter and the first play of the third quarter. If any of you guys, that pays attention to press conferences or all that stuff has more information about it, certainly let me know in the comment section. I don't have time to watch those things. Now we get rolling a little bit. This is 6 possessions, still the first possession of the third quarter. Gibbs is back there in the backfield. This is a really cool counter play, 12 personnel. Shows you the versatility of Sam Laporta. I mean, he's lined up at fullback here. Him and Brock Wright appear to be attempting to engage the same edge defender. To my knowledge, when the Lions do this, step the fullback, he's a tight end, but step the fullback off the midline and then clear him back. He's usually responsible for kicking out the edge defender. You'll see that Brock Wright doubles back when Clowney dives inside. But Laporta picks him up. Gibbs got a burst down. You can see the wall that's built. Great play. I think 8-9 yards off the right tackle side. Cool play. I love that counter step by the fullback and timed up with the running back's counter step as well. Pass to Gibbs on a screen for 21 yards into the boundary, same drive. I love this setup. I'm not sure why the Lions didn't go to some of this stuff earlier. The Ravens have had trouble giving up big plays this year when there's motion and then something coming back in the direction that the motion came from. So you're going to get motion post-snap. I guess it's not really motion if it's post-snap, looking like a reverse. And you'll see that Brandon Stevens and Arthur Millette follow it. They go. And it really leaves a lot of space over there to the boundary. Here's the two Ravens defenders. I understand the score's 28-0 at this point, and some people are like, Coach, why are you breaking this down? Man, if the Lions get a score here, it's 28-7, maybe 28-8. The game's not over if you get a touchdown to open the third quarter ever, in my opinion. I think this is a great play call. Great usage of Gibbs. Really set up well. Two defenders again running away from the play. Kyle Hamilton, Patrick Queen, the only guys there. I'm not sure why the Lions didn't go to some of the screen stuff earlier in the first half. Not to be critical of Ben Johnson because he's a fantastic offensive coordinator who does a great job week in and week out. I would have liked, from a Lions fan's perspective, I would have liked to have seen that earlier. This is an interesting play. 3rd and goal from the same possession. Gibbs is out at wideout. St. Brown in the backfield. We know that they do this. They did this against the Bears last year. They do this occasionally with him to the boundary. The Ravens identify it. Odafe Owe identifies it. And they basically shut these routes down. Gibbs has got the route over the middle of the field, gets covered up by Roquan Smith. Pressure by Owe and I think Pierce, who's a load to deal with, and Goff has got to throw the ball away. We know on the very next play it ends up being incomplete. Utilizing Gibbs, most of the time when you get this route, I thought that St. Brown runs out into the flats, forces the inside linebacker to the boundary to cover him. But in this case, it looks like the Ravens kind of try to zone this off and basically release Gibbs inside, and Brandon Stevens steps down on St. Brown, and you can see that no one's open. I mean, maybe you'd say, hey, we're going to throw the ball to the back of the end zone here and let Laporta go get it. You've got an inside leverage corner and a safety over the top. Everything is covered up very well here, including Gibbs, and Goff didn't really have much option. We know the 4th down falls incomplete. Really at that point, the game is probably over from a competitive standpoint, 28-0. But if you look at the back end of the second quarter, I think the Lions had a possession where they throw for a 1st down on 4th and 15 to St. Brown, gets called back for a hold on Sewell, which I thought was a legitimate hold. It was a quick hold. But if that possession was able to work down and get a score, and you get a score early in the third quarter, the game is not over. It doesn't end up being 38-6. Let's put it that way. So 8th possession, the Ravens have now stacked up another touchdown. I know it's 35-0. Gibbs is on a short pass to the left, and I think there's a miscommunication here by the Ravens defense, but it's a great job, if you ask me, of utilizing Gibbs to the boundary, which is where I think he's tremendously effective. Laporta plays over there a lot. So does St. Brown at times. Cool job, if you ask me, of putting the boundary side inside linebacker in conflict. So you'll see Gibbs release on, kind of like a wheel. St. Brown from the slot is also going to go and sit right down where Patrick Queen is. I think additionally you've got Laporta going over the top of Queen. So they're really putting Queen in a lot of conflict, even if he goes with Gibbs on the wheel, fast flow now. Additionally, you can see Laporta is hedging him on the outside shoulder, basically operating as a pick or a screen, which is really cool design, if you ask me. St. Brown is coming to replace Queen. If Queen was to go early with Gibbs, then St. Brown will be available as a second option. So I like the design, using Laporta, Gibbs, and St. Brown to the boundary, even though St. Brown lined up to the field. 9-yard gain on this really nicely designed counter. He did run this against the Falcons once at home and didn't end up bouncing it, end up taking it downhill. And this one, in this case, it ends up being 9 yards. Really great angles for this when you get the end zone. And again, you see motion by the Lions and then attacking back to the side where the motion came from. I feel like those are concepts that could have been used a little more often early. But look at the pin down blocks that you get. Pin, and then left guard and center are going to pull out in front. The timing for some people would be a little bit weird. It's a little bit of a delay. But once Gibbs gets off tackle, there's blockers out in front. There's yards to get. I think I give you the end zone angle of this one. I don't know, as a Lions fan, were you excited to see the guy get the ball? You're certainly not excited to be down, 4 touchdowns and nobody. And that won't happen again this year, I don't think. But you certainly should be excited to see the guy get the ball 20 times, see what he can do after all the excitement on draft night, justifiably so. Pass to Gibbs, left side into the boundary again on a play action, and this is a fantastic play by Patrick Queen. This is just what the Ravens are getting in boundary side coverage out of Patrick Queen the last 2 years. Superb athleticism and ability to close distance. And you see how much space there is between Queen and Gibbs when the ball is thrown. Maybe you'd like to see the ball out there a half beat quicker to let Gibbs be able to turn, but tackle for a 2-yard gain. Really amazing season so far for Patrick Queen. He's had 2 of them in a row at this point. And then this is a touchdown from the all-22 angle. 21-yarder, gets it to within 35-7. You can see the pin pull nature of it and how easily the Ravens were outflanked to the field. St. Brown pinning down on Clowney. Reynolds pinning down on Arthur Millette. Queen gets, it's not Queen. Roquan Smith gets locked up by, I think it's the left guard. And really, there's nothing that the Ravens have here. Gibbs is basically walking in untouched. Geno Stone, he's not really taking it on with a whole lot of force. Great play call by the Lions, even though, nonetheless it was, too little, too late. You guys let me know what you think of Jahmyr Gibbs' first extended action being the lead back. I'm not sure when David Montgomery's going to come back, but they look like, at least right now, if Gibbs has got to be the lead guy, 20, 22 touches a game, there's no reason why he can't do that and execute pretty much all of the offense. So I didn't show a couple of outside zone runs that they gave Craig Reynolds. I think they'd be better served for using Gibbs on those. The downhill angle run stuff off tackle. Let him read it. Let him get downhill, get the shoulder square. David Montgomery is really good at that, perhaps better than Gibbs. Okay, fine. But Gibbs can do those things. I don't think you need to necessarily sub Reynolds in just for those runs, which is, I don't want to say that's what I saw in the first half. That's what my brain thinks I saw a little bit, is that when Reynolds came in, they went to some of that outside zone off-tackle stuff. Me personally, I'd like to see Gibbs in there as much as possible if Montgomery's not going to go next week against a Raiders team that at this point, is coming into Detroit and probably not prepared for the anger that they're going to receive from a Lions team that certainly wants to get back in the win column. You guys let me know what you think of my breakdown of Jahmyr Gibbs, how he played in Sunday's loss to the Ravens. Even though it was a difficult loss to swallow and watch, I'm sure, for you guys, at least you got to see this guy get extended touches and get his first career touchdown. I thought it was pretty cool. Appreciate you guys' time. If you think other Lions fans would enjoy this film study breakdown of Jahmyr Gibbs from Week 7 against the Ravens, please consider grabbing a link to this video, sharing it on social media to help this content get more reach.